US President Barack Obama is set to make his annual State of the Union address tonight.
The President's speech is expected to centre around wealth and fairness, coinciding with Republican presidential hopeful Mitt Romney releasing his income details today. North America correspondent Craig Murchie joins us now from Washington. And Craig, perhaps if we start with the release of those figures about Mitt Romney's income and the amount of tax he pays, can you take us through what this documentation that's now finally been revealed tells us about him?
Well, it tells us, Melissa, that he's a wealthy American, which a lot of people knew, of course. It tells us that for 2 years, in the 2010 return and his estimated return for 2011, he's going to be paying, his income was roughly $42 million US, paying tax roughly $6.2 million US, which of course is a great deal more than most Americans pay, but an effective tax rate in 2010 of 13.9%, an effective tax rate in 2011 of 15.4%, which is a great deal less than many middle-class Americans pay. Now, it's also worth noting that the return shows that Mitt Romney gave about $7 million in charitable donations, $4 million of that to his church, the Mormon Church. Of course, he has already gone public warning against the politics of envy, as he calls it. He's been under fire from his Republican rivals for not releasing these tax records. He has conceded that that was a mistake in South Carolina, so he wanted to get out in front. But in a sense, the timing is unfortunate because tonight, as you said, in his State of the Union speech, Barack Obama is expected to go directly to this issue of tax inequality, the issue of fairness and whether wealthy Americans ought to be paying more.
I'm glad you point that out because I find it very curious. There's so much attention on what income tax these individuals are paying, Mitt Romney and Newt Gingrich, yet I imagine they both have policies that promote cutting tax at the top end of high income earners, as that's traditionally a Republican stance. So it seems to be a bit of an oxymoron for Newt Gingrich to be criticising Mitt Romney for paying less income tax, yet to be promoting those sorts of policies as well.
Well, indeed, but the issue here is the evasiveness question, really. I mean, Newt Gingrich in the televised debates in South Carolina really had Mitt Romney, the front-runner at that point, on the back foot over his tax records, wanting to know why they weren't being released. In a clever tactic, the Gingrich campaign actually released his tax records during one of the televised debates, asking, you know, where was Mitt Romney's record? Now, the Romney campaign, as I say, wants to try and put this behind them. The other thing they're doing in Florida is that they're being way more aggressive toward the Gingrich campaign. Millions and millions of dollars is already being spent in an advertising blitz in that state. The Romney campaign started weeks ago. The Gingrich campaign is trying to catch up. There was another televised debate last night, and the two men went at it directly, not so much over the tax issue, but really over the issue of the former speaker's character. Clearly stung by his loss, the size of it in South Carolina, Mitt Romney has clearly decided to be more aggressive. He didn't look entirely convincing at times. He looked a bit uncomfortable, but he looked the speaker directly in the eyes and accused him of influence peddling in Washington after he left Congress, suggesting really that he was a lobbyist. And he also called the speaker a disgrace in his time, saying essentially that he had to resign in disgrace. This after the midterm elections in 1998, where Republicans didn't do so well and effectively Newt Gingrich was forced out, questioning his leadership. Now, the speaker was clearly uncomfortable, fired back, saying that Mitt Romney had his facts wrong and had clearly that this was some sort of tactic from the Romney debate coaches. But interestingly, in the debate last night, the speaker was more subdued. The audience didn't get so involved. There were rules that they couldn't applaud, couldn't clap, and without that energy, he didn't seem quite so assertive. But that debate last night, the rancour of it really does reflect this increasingly negative contest between these two men.
And just before you go, Craig, what can we expect in the State of the Union address that's coming up tonight? Will Barack Obama weigh into the Republican debate and address his potential opponents, or will he steer clear of that?
I think it's pretty unlikely he will address them directly. The White House is already saying he's going to come up with his blueprint for the economy, for saving the American middle class, for dealing with the tax code and fairness, the proposals for the wealthy Americans to pay more. Interestingly, the White House has already let it be known that Omaha billionaire Warren Buffett's secretary will be a guest of the First Family tonight during the State of the Union speech. This is because Warren Buffett has famously said that he doesn't think he ought to be paying a lower tax rate than his secretary. So that gives you an idea of where Barack Obama is likely to go this evening. And of course, immediately after tonight's State of the Union speech, an extremely important political occasion for the president, he's embarking on a whirlwind 5-state, 3-day tour of battleground states. And really, it's like firing the starting gun on his re-election campaign.
Craig McMurtry, thank you very much.
OK.